Welcome to Sports CTO Talks. In this series, we would be connecting with technology leaders from sports industry. I am Ami, your guide on this journey through amazing mind of sports tech leaders who are shaping the future of the industry. We will dive deep into discussions and innovations driving the industry, from AI to cloud, from cyber security to sustainability. If it is sports tech, we are talking about it. Today, we have two very interesting guests who have written a very informative book called Get Kids to Play. I will just give a quick introduction of both of them and we will begin the podcast. First guest is Dr. Vijay Krishnamurthy. He is a sports researcher, executive coach, and a global professional with 28 years of experience spanning technology, sports research, and leadership development. He's worked with multiple organizations like Broadcom, Synopsys, Philips, many more in US, UK, Asia, before turning his focus into academic research. He is the co-author of Get Kids to Play, a Paul Lawrence Fellowship Award winner, and a published author. At BetterUp, he has coached over 1,500 worldwide leaders, helping them turn insights into actions. Now, I would like to introduce our second guest. He is Mr. 𝗀𝗰𝗵𝗵𝗴, the co-founder, CEO, and managing director of Sports Village, India's leading sports education organization that helps children discover the joy of life, skills of play. Since 2003, Sports Village has partnered with over 18,000 plus, if I'm not wrong, and it can be more now, schools reaching over 6 million children across India and the UAE, with expansion underway in Saudi Arabia. He has represented EduSports on Amir Khan's 𝗀𝗬𝗪 and has been recognized among the top 50 leaders influencing education. We welcome you both, 𝗀𝗰𝗵𝗵𝗃 and Vijayji, to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to
so much.
Perfect. So today, I would like to understand from both of you, and my first question to you is, Vijayji, is what does evidence-based learning or coaching really mean in the context of children's sports, and how does it differ from the traditional coaching methods?
Yeah, firstly, thanks for the invite. Nice to be here. The fine difference that I see traditional coaching, just from my own experience, initially is I think coaches and all of them look at more at the just the skill of the sport, playing and skill, right? And I feel like evidence and from what research says is there are many more components to it. Whether it's fitness, skill is just one of them. Then there is nutrition, there is mental health, and then if you go into each one of them again, there are a lot more. So eventually, all this adds up into like a holistic development of a child, and not just the skill. And then if it's too narrow towards the skill, then it goes towards just performance, and then eventually competition, medals, and things like that. That is how it's been traditionally. I think evidence-based is a lot more like a whole person model kind of thing for the child, and I hope if coaches and teachers are educated on that, then I think it would benefit the children even better.
Okay. So, when you talk about research, when we talk about structured play, the impact of structured play on a child's cognitive or emotional or the social development, what does that talk about?
You know, look, by the way, research does not suggest if structured play is better or unstructured play is worse, right?
Okay.
At the start, for all you know, unstructured could even be better.
Okay.
Because children figure out how to do it themselves, right? And structure is more towards organized sport
Okay.
because there are ground rules. I'm sure there are learnings from both sides, but I think the first, they say 6 to 8 years of child's development is where the their learning abilities really peak and what they learn, and majority of that could probably be in unstructured times, right? And they can figure out and they can explore. There's an exploratory part. Coming to, I think, impact for sure. Um, the learning ability of a child through play is obviously proven to be one of the highest ways, or probably the best ways of learning. instead of instructions given from the other side, if it gets too structured, you know what I mean?
Correct, correct.
It may be more limiting versus I could be doing something more initially. And of course, the other thing, I mean, I'm just to trying to balance it out. Structure definitely adds other angles that for a child's development from a socio-emotional learning. Like, for example, if you play a team sport, you could be a structure could create a way where you got to collaborate with others. Imagine a game of basketball or football or cricket where you get along and do it. Then all other things of the human skills also get enhanced, right?
Okay.
So structure definitely adds that. Unstructured definitely leads to more of self-discovery, which is also important. So I think it's a interesting. I think it's an interesting study by itself in terms of comparative.
Correct. So what does, like, what is the gist or what is the outcome like of the book Get Kids to Play? And what are a few things what kids, schools, organizations, coaches, everyone for that matter have to keep in mind?
Is it for Somil or for me?
No, for you only.
Okay, I'll start and then maybe Somil can add. I mean, the
Yes.
book is meant for parents and school leaders. I mean, and that's like where is the child, either at home or in school, kind of thing. I think both of them are very critical in shaping a child's future. So that's how we thought about it. And I added the research angle to a few things that came from my doctoral thesis. And collaborating with Sawmill added the other side because of the large, um the vast amount of time spent by the PE trainers and his employees with children across schools in India. It added the school angle,
Okay.
and a quick gist of it. It has 5 chapters. It's about space, time, the child development itself, the curriculum, as well as the facilitator, and all things that are required, the components required for getting things done. And maybe Somil can add more.
Correct. I have a question for you, Somilji, related to this only. Like you're working with thousands of schools. So like a very basic question is how do you operationalize this evidence-based coaching? Because to begin with, it is very difficult here in India specifically. So how do you do it in the diverse settings?
So I think the the easy hack that we did was that we copied education.
Mm.
The program is called Edu Sports.
Ed-
We just copied education. So how does maths do it? How does science do it at scale in India
Hmm.
or globally? It does it through a structure, does it through a curriculum, an assessment, a trained teacher, a timetable, a parent interaction, some data, normal curves, and so on, right? So we pretty much at one level copied what was already happening in maths and science and brought the best practices of a curriculum, assessment, trained teacher, and so on into physical education and sports. And that's how you pretty much scale, because when you embed data and assessment into the program and not as an afterthought,
Hmm.
then get executed, right? And I think I just want to also clarify the structure unstructured piece. I think the key piece of structure is in the classroom when the P is being taught.
Hmm.
Structure is not about sport versus unstructured play. Structure is about teaching. It's like one unstructured teaching is I just give a textbook to people and say, you read yourself.
Hmm. Correct.
Structure is where I teach you some things and then I give you some assignment and then I ask you questions, and then through the structure I help you achieve your learning outcomes.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the way to think about it is that the in a PE class, unfortunately, what's happening in most schools is that it's unstructured play in the PE period. It's like having unstructured English class. Would you agree with your kid learning unstructured math?
Not at
Teacher
all.
comes in and says, "You learn what you want," and I'll no, you. The structure ensures a few things. Ensures all kids learn. More importantly, ensures the weaker kids develop. The good kids are anyway doing well,
Correct.
right? It gives you data and it gives you corrective action for the kids who are not strong in some aspect, might be strong in some other aspect. So that's how education has evolved, and that's exactly what we did in implementing the best practices of education into sports and physical education.
Okay. So like how was the journey? Like, from where did you start? Like from a business perspective, that how did you begin? Like what are you looking forward right now? What were the obstacles on its way? Like if you could share that with us, Somilji.
Oh, that's a long journey. The EduSport
I
journey,
know, but
EduSport journey
we would
is
love to hear that.
the EduSport journey is 15 years. The sportswear journey is 22 years. The EduSports part, I think, started when I had pretty much exhausted all other non-school avenues of getting kids to play. I tried 7, 8 models, which all failed over 6, 7 years.
Wow.
And then in 2009, we said, let's look at schools. And we just knocked on school doors, said we can hopefully improve a program. Out of 100 schools we knocked on, 90 threw us out. I waited outside principals' cabins for hours and not got a meeting. So initially, just getting attention was difficult. People thought we're selling a bat or a ball. They said
Hmm.
leave a sample behind. The whole notion that I remember early days when we showed our curriculum, principals would call all the other teachers saying, look, there's a curriculum for sports now. That's how unique it was, right? So
Correct.
this notion of a structure, notion of best practices in PE was just not something that people even thought about. So it took some time to get the early adopters. And after which there was required some agility in terms of business models. Our original model was to do a consulting and technology kind of a play that we will train the team, P teachers, they'll execute, they get the data, then we'll crunch the data, come back with
Hmm.
some specific things, and they'll implement again.
Hmm. Hmm.
School leaders told me that if you really want the program to work, you better send your own staff. So from a technology, data, consulting, at least what I thought when I started,
Hmm.
we flipped to what you would call a full stack model, full stack on-site model.
Correct.
To the extent that today we have now 1,200 odd people all over the country, including Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and to 1,300 now. Saudi on-site getting kids to play. But
Wow.
end of the day, I think the key thing was what was sustainable in the user experience was the actual implementation, not just Gyan and not just technology. So you had to add a service layer to the technology, whether technology is IT or technology is curriculum, right? Finally,
Correct.
that's without a service layer, especially in education and kids, it's very, very difficult to scale in my view.
Very difficult. And like, was there any hesitation from parents, or like, you did not need to reach out to them? How was like that angle?
So I think over the last 22 years, I have not met a single person who says kids should not play.
Agree.
Everybody is supportive of kids that kids should play. The problem is nobody knows how.
Hmm.
That's what the book was about, right? The Get Kids to Play that happened because of a nudge from Vijay was meant to answer the how, not the why. Why everybody knows,
Hmm.
and how is the problem, right? And to your point on parents, yes, parents were the first supporters. In fact, I remember in the early days, we went to a school where the parents were in the activist mode. They had made some mess, and there was all kinds of घेराव going on and all that.
Wow.
And the trustee said, "आप जाके बात करो तुम्हारे program के बारे में." And it was very militant parents, right? So we said, okay. I mean, we had nothing to lose. We just started. So we went to the curriculum and the assessment report card and said, this is what we'll do. Every child will get this report card. Every child will get this experience, and here's what we are. And they were most supportive because all parents realized that their kids are not playing enough. All parents realize that kids' fitness is not where it should be. So they went back to the trustees and said, you're messing up a lot of other things, but ये एक काम आप ठीक कर रहे हो. So, so parents are very supportive. The issue is how do you get to school leadership and therefore get the share of mind, share of wallet? If the school's maths program is still broken, then are they going to invest in sports today? Will they invest in sports tomorrow? It's more a timing question.
Okay. So, like, you were talking about data, right? Like, when you began, you had thought of technology and data. So, does that play a role right now? Or, like,
Absolutely.
how do you see it shaping the future of sports industry in the next few years? Like, does it benefit or not yet in the
Let,
context of India?
let me give you some data points first. We,
Hmm.
first of all, have assessed around 12 lakh kids so far cumulatively assessment.
Wow.
So we have data on fitness and skill. In each fitness, we have like 5 or 6 parameters. The data that we've seen are things like 25% increase in students with healthy BMI, almost 50% improvement in social emotional learning scores, 22% improvement in physical activity, likelihood of higher education pursuit. So there are lots of behavioral as well as physical improvement that we've seen. And that improvement has been seen, or I can say today, because we're tracking the data. And the data was part of the program, and that was part of the pitch to the donor, whether donor is a school trustee or a parent or a CSR donor or a government, that hey, sport, and I think that's one key shift we made. For a long time, and even today, sport is sold on a very qualitative, sport is good, passion, all that. Nobody's talking data.
No,
And the people who fund want data, want impact data.
correct.
And we brought in that notion that, look, if the sport is good, it should show an improvement in fitness. It should show an improvement in classroom discipline. It should show an improvement in social emotional learning. It should show an improvement in your ability to handle conflict. If sport is as powerful as you claim it is, the results should show. And if the results don't show, either sport is not as powerful or I am doing a bad job with it. Right? Then you decide what to do.
Correct. Like you were talking about CSR, right? So how can corporates or government organizations or the social enterprises who work for the sports come together and focus more on getting kids to play rather than the small, short activities which keep on going on? How can that help?
So I think maybe the larger question is, what do you define as success of getting kids to play, right? And there are broadly two success pieces that we've seen. One has been the whole thing of medals,
Hmm,
that if kids play, we'll win more medals.
correct.
And the other thing has been around they are just better human beings, they're physically fitter, they're emotionally fitter, they're mentally fitter. Mental health is a key issue today. Are they going to be growing up to be better citizens? They're not opposite, but they are slightly orthogonal. They are different axes. And what's happened is that the elite professional, sexy part of elite talent professional has to a large extent hijacked attention,
Okay.
and therefore getting kids to play is seen as something which is has nobody's baby. And we keep saying in the book also that everybody's baby is nobody's baby. Everybody agrees it should happen, but nobody's
Correct.
paying attention to it. I think we had to define success in sports, or ask ourselves what is success. Let's say we win in 2036, touch wood, we win the highest number of medals in Olympics in the
Hmm.
world,
Hmm.
but we have a generation of unfit kids. Is that success?
Yes, we have.
Like, what is success? And therefore, the sense of balance of getting kids to play while continuing to have the inspirational dreams of winning Olympic medals. That balance is important. And if corporates, other NGOs see sports as an integral part of education, then a
Hmm.
lot more will happen.
Correct. Okay. Vijayji, one question to you is like when we are talking about mental awareness or the physical fitness, so there might be a lot of researches already being done in those lines. So are there any relations to sports specific like research for children or for youngsters or for elite athletes? And what does that talk about?
Yeah, there's plenty of research. Unfortunately, the amount of research is lower in India. That's one of the reasons for me trying
Hmm.
to, in the pursuit of sports research, we keep referencing only, foreign research studies. But I'm just quoting a couple of them, which is also mentioned in the book. One of them is a project called Play Deficit.
Okay.
And I think it was originally started in University of Miami in Florida, in Florida State. It started in even, and later on even Nike Labs actually picked that up. And there was a very large longitudinal study. I think it had more than 10,000 parents of kids aged between 5 to 12.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it even had some percentage of it around the world, including South America, Brazil, Mexico, and all that. And to your point of mental health and all that, it was continuously proven that if you don't get the X amount of play in your growing years, there were a lot of other, the functions of a child in classroom and in all things also were impacted,
Okay.
right? So we keep the problem is, I think in not just in India, everywhere, we think of everything as separate things, right? Like as though science physics is different from maths, is different from sport, is different from English. Actually, there is a very strong connection to learning. Learning as a platform is very interconnected. You can't study some of the physics laws without a mathematical measurement, or you can't play, and like a game of cricket is full of numbers, which you're only chasing a target, right? So I think there's holistic versus learning in silos. So any of those components, like in the play deficit, is missed during the stuff. Especially playing outdoors is a very fundamental thing, right? So one from a neuroscience mental health, there's also biological health also. I mean, for example, a quick short one here is, I think when you sweat, for example, it's the simplest thing that you're actually, it's an indicator that you're generating new cells in the body.
Okay.
It's the simplest thing of refresh. But I think we are all struggling to get kids to play and making all those fundamental things happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what was the most compelling finding, like, which came out while you were working on the book, or after the book, or at present, like, after few years or many years, like there might be a few compelling findings.
Right.
So what
First
are
of all,
that?
first of all, one of the findings or discovery itself is I never thought in my life I would write fundamental, or me and someone would do this. Uh, I mean, we thought what happened in our childhood happens to every kid everywhere, right? Across generations. And suddenly it's like, getting kids to play, a reminder sounds like equivalent to getting humans to breathe kind of thing. It should happen, right? Why are we talking about it so much itself is a big, almost a shock to my system at this age. But research, I think, unfortunately, I mean, there's more and more to the point Samuel is saying. Are we now looking at a next generation where majority of them haven't really put in those long hours in sport, right? In our time, the max you were asked to cut down sport was when you're reaching high school
Yes, correct.
for academics. Now I'm seeing that thing happen in primary and middle school, which is unbelievable for me. People are talking about various factors, though, transportation, civic, not enough space to play, which is all covered in the book. But that is really, I don't know what are the new problems that adults are going to face because of not having put in that much of playing time, which is a scary thought to me, by the way.
True, true, true. So, like, if we could design, or if you could design a perfect longitudinal research model today, according to you, or according to the people you see around, or according to the people you work with, what are the key metrics or the outcomes which should be there? Like, like tracking devices or understanding the impact of play. What should be there?
It's very similar to what I mentioned earlier. In fact, I was, when you had asked the question, or I thought about it earlier, was, Harvard did a study on just human beings. There's a longitudinal study done on all the alumni of whoever graduated over years, 100 years plus as the institute is older. And they came back to find that humans perform better if there is connectedness, very basic stuff of the social behavior, right? It had nothing to do with degree achievement, all that. Even alumni after 25 years were called, they didn't even recall some of the projects they worked on and things like that. So I think a similar longitudinal study here of imagine the up to high school, how many hours of play a kid went through. And then that longitudinal continues through college, office going and everything, and keeps going. Whether they follow sport, play sport actively, right? Doesn't matter what part of sport they're contributing to or learning from. I think if that can be done on three or four things, which is again fitness and health, nutrition, mental health, resilience, grit. So all that kind of thing as the human, as they're growing, it would be fascinating to see. Anyway, my hypothesis is the researcher is the one who has put in a lot of time, in your youth, where your body is primed to play, and automatically, muscles are, wired for doing that. I think would have a lot of good qualities that will serve them good as life goes on.
True, true, true. Somilji, like, I thought of another question, like when you were talking about CSR fundings and partnerships. So does that affect the program? Like, if a organization does not receive a funding, or because in India, the CSR funding plays a critical role these days. So like after few years, people don't see results and the funding is stopped. How does that cycle work into sports?
So I think the critical thing is the right expectations when the funding starts, right? If the promises are made of a certain performance in terms of, let's say, elite performance, medal, and so on, that becomes a bit more binary. Yes, no, did you achieve it, not achieve it.
Mm,
But when the expectations are about education and what we call input metrics, that did we do what we said we will do? Did the kids do what they said they will do? And then did we achieve our objectives? And then it becomes more programmatic than event driven. Wherever it is programmatic, it is easier to continue or find alternate donors. Wherever it's episodic, that we have this event and in that event we're going to do this performance, it becomes a binary 0-1. And I
correct.
think we've been on this line of saying, it's like let's say you're a teacher and I am your student and I don't pay attention, you might be a great teacher. If I just don't pay attention, you can't be penalized for me not doing what I'm supposed to do. Right? So, and that's the whole crux of education. When people look at it from an education perspective, they understand it. And therefore, on an ongoing basis, there are programs. There are also, to be fair, we have models where over time we reduce the costs and over time the community takes over. Or
Okay.
this self-financing model where it becomes a lot more sustainable.
All right.
There are solutions for that as well.
Okay. So like not talking about the book, like does the program help grassroots level kids, like the municipality schools or the kids who come from the villages? How does the program help them, or how can we make it better? Like if you could help us with that.
So we work with tribal kids, we work with underprivileged kids, we work with government school kids, we also work with private school, slightly more elite kids. We work with special kids, we work with blind kids. I mean, I think pretty much every segment, whichever way you slice it, program works. It's almost like saying, is there a different math program for different types of kids? No. But maybe the way you teach, where you start, the tools you use, the speed at which you go changes based on who you're teaching. And that's
Yes.
exactly what our thing is. And the whole important piece in this whole thing is the fun element, that how do you make sure the kids are having fun as they're experiencing the program.
Yes.
And as they're having fun, they pull for it.
Correct. One last question to both of you is from different perspectives. Vijayji from research perspective, Somalji from business perspective. Like, what is essential into the sports industry in the next 5 years in India, or you know, overall into the sports industry? What is required and what can be done?
What is required from whom? I mean, I don't think I understood the question
From
right.
the people, like from the kids, from the parents, from the coaches, from schools, from principals. There have to be a few things which we all need to work together, that sports can grow, evolve in the next 5 years. So what measures to be taken?
As a researcher, I'm obviously going to say what is more, we need more of like research and the information and awareness trickling to everyone. And since we are like at this cusp of AI with my engineering background, nowadays
Hmm.
there is even like advice given that spend at least 15 to 30 minutes playing with an AI tool, because that's how the world is going to go. I wish someone or us or a bunch of people like us from sport can actually get everyone to say, how about the same amount of time for sport and play and physical and mental health also? And if data, numbers, knowledge, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, from that side can keep getting people to be mindful of it towards health and well-being, I think it would be really good.
Okay. Somalji from the business perspective.
I think two things. One is, of course, just play.
That is,
But at a slightly deeper level, if you value play, then can we stop buying houses which don't have a playground? Can we stop
yes,
sending our kids to schools that don't have a sports program?
yes.
Right? Can we vote for people who are supporting active lifestyles? And I think therefore each individual has an agency that has to be exercised. It's one thing to say it is government's problem to provide a playground, it is somebody's problem to do this. But what can I do? If each one of us starts doing what some of the examples I gave, the market, the business world will automatically respond to it,
Correct.
right? And your neighborhoods will become walking friendly. There'll be playgrounds nearby. I think there's a lot of things that the individual citizen can do and vote with their feet or with their budgets.
Absolutely. Perfect. We'll move on to the next segment of the podcast. That's the rapid fire round. We'll go one each. First, Vijay, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
I'll ask you a few questions and you'll have to be quick in answering. It can
Okay,
be either one word or one line max.
okay.
Okay, perfect. If play had a PhD title, what would its thesis be called?
I'll go with Albert Einstein's quote, play is the highest form of research.
Perfect. You are stranded on an island with one data set. What would it measure?
The same question that he asked before, impact of how much you played as a kid and as an adult, how are you doing?
Okay. What's harder to coach, kids or researchers?
Definitely researchers are harder to coach because I think they come with an ego.
Okay. If you had to explain your research to a 6-year-old using only 3 sports metaphors, what would you say?
Three words I would pick more than metaphors. I thought of is curiosity, experiment, and fun.
Okay, interesting. The brain during play, what is it? Like more like Formula One car or a roller coaster?
I think it's Formula One because you stop slow speed and the quick thing there, since you mentioned roller coaster, I think if you don't play, your mind could become a roller coaster. That's a different one.
Yes. Okay. If you could replace all school exams with one physical test, what would it be?
Just a game of basketball or football, just one game, let's say if it's a couple of hours or 3 hours, and I think I would test everything through it, science, math, history,
Mm.
geography, quiz. I think it's possible, just one game.
Interesting. Somalji, we'll move on to you now.
Sure.
The same drill. Okay. If get kids to play for a movie, what would its tagline be?
A fun social experiment.
Okay. Which sport best describes being a startup founder? Sprint, marathon, or kabaddi?
Marathon.
Okay. What's the funniest pitch you have ever heard for a school sports program? You can say in one line.
अगले महीने से medals मिल जाएंगे.
Okay. Yes. One sport you'd love to make compulsory subject in every school.
Football.
Hmm. If you could gamify a board meeting, what sports would your model? What you model it?
What sports give fireball? Football.
Okay. What's your go-to power play when things get stressful?
Karate and tricks.
Hmm. Business meetings or penalty shootouts? Which one's scarier?
Penalty shootouts.
Okay. 2 questions for both of you. Both like answer one by one. Who was the bigger rule breaker in school PE class? You have to answer for each other.
Me.
Okay. If you had to swap jobs for a day, who'd survive longer?
Vijay, I think. Sorry.
Oh, is it? I was thinking
Okay. This is for both.
both would survive. Both would survive.
Both would survive. Finish this together, like both of you. A word that plays more. A world that plays more.
Has
Enjoys more.
Perfect. One last question, like we'll go one by one. What is the role? Because everyone is talking about AI today. So one question is, what is the role of AI into how evidence-based coaching and longitudinal research are redefining the sports? Somalji, we'll start with you. 30 seconds.
I think more accurate data points to convince stakeholders to fund sports.
Okay. Vijayji?
I would slightly term it as, play with AI kind of thing. That's what we are at that stage of playing with AI.
Hmm.
So I think you need the same mindset, play with AI mindset kind of thing for for other things as well.
Okay. Thank you, Somalji. Thank you, Vijayji, for joining the podcast. It means a lot to us.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, let's stay connected for more understanding on sports and technology in the future. Please share this episode with all the people who love sports and technology. We will meet in the next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring.